Mail nails again, lawyer edition. My client used to be a criminal prosecutor. Let me tell you one of his crazy stories. So one day, two guys wanted to rob a jewelry store. They decided the best way to learn the ins and outs of the store was to abduct the security guard. One of these kidnappers pulled the guard into a van to try to get some info out of him, but the guard fought back. He fought back so much that the kidnapper shot him in the head while the other was driving. So at this point, while being shot in the head, the guard managed to roll himself out of the moving van while the kidnappers tried to flee the scene. While bleeding, the guard crawled to his car and drove himself to the hospital.
When my grandma passed away, she left each of her grandkids money to put them through college debt-free. But this fund stayed in our parents' names until we turned 18. My sister got pregnant her sophomore year of high school. She was panicking about college. The baby daddy left and she hasn't tried to find him to get child support. All of that stress caused a hard, complicated pregnancy, but both are okay. She graduated this last December with about $2,000 in debt. I figured she used all the money grandma left for her pregnancy and had to take out a loan. I got accepted to my dream college, but my mom was insistent that I stay local to save money. I told her grandma left me more than enough, but that's when she told me. They used all the money that was supposed to go to me to take care of my sister and her kid and her expensive pregnancy. I broke down and just lost it crying. I was shouting how they screwed me over for the kid that fucked up. My sister got upset and asked me if I'd rather have had her live on the street unable to raise her child so I can go to college and have a good life. I've been helping my friend plan her wedding for months. We bought her dress together, brainstormed over color schemes and decor for her big day. I was so excited. She had told me that she was going to take care of all the bridesmaids' dresses and all I had to do was give her my measurements. Then, at her bachelorette party, she mentions that she's already had a dress fitting with the other bridesmaids. I was a bit flabbergasted they had done this without me and asked if they had a dress in my size, and she cut me off and said, "Oh, I'll get it sorted." Next thing I know, she's not responding to my texts or messages. I kept trying to tell myself she's just busy with wedding plans, but I couldn't help but feel like something was up. Now it's about 2 weeks before the wedding and I still have no bridesmaid's dress to wear. I contacted the maid of honor and asked what was going on, but I didn't get a response from her either. I woke up to a text from the bride this morning that said, "I'm sorry, I feel really bad for saying this, but I can't find a dress in your size. I even tried changing the whole dress style, but nothing I found would fit you. You're too big for all the sizes I could find."
In middle school, when I met this girl, we were both into a lot of the same things and we really hit it off. And from then on, we were best friends. However, I always noticed that when I liked a boy and she found out, she would immediately tell me that she liked them and would flirt with them in front of me since middle school and high school. And I was really insecure about my appearance and she was really pretty. Skipping to high school, after a few years of avoiding dating boys at our school because of her, I got a boyfriend. Let's call him Luke. Luke was crazy out of my league and I was really excited he asked me out. She was really bitter about the whole thing and anytime I brought him up, she would shut me down or make me feel bad about getting a boyfriend before her. Anyways, a couple months passed by and things were getting great until I found out Luke had been cheating on me the whole entire time. I tell my friend sobbing and she pretty much dismisses the whole thing. The next semester they have a class together and instead of being there for me, she befriends him and starts flirting with him on social media where I can see. I told her I was tired of it and stopped being her friend. She made several
I'm going to tell you guys about the time that my entire class teamed up to take my teacher down. And by down, I mean fired, which is terrible, but... And to be clear, I wasn't involved in the incident. I was just asked in to be a witness along with the rest of the class. If you're not interested at this point, I don't even know. So when I was in 6th grade, I had this teacher called Mr. W. We're going to call him Mr. W. He was our science teacher. And he was fine. He wasn't amazing or bad. He was just okay. He did smell really, really bad. But again, that didn't affect his teaching at all. One day, however, I don't even know how this happened. He asked us all to get started on our work. He was a little irritated that day. I don't even remember why. One of the girls in our class, her name was Summer. She didn't have her workbook. Mr. W asked her where her work was. I didn't bring it today. They started arguing. The rest of the class was kind of silent, just watching this. She's a nice girl. She wasn't attacking him or anything. He did, however, get very angry. So angry, in fact, that he grabbed his binder and threw it across the room over her head. It just barely skipped her head and slammed on the floor. This wasn't like an empty binder from the dollar store. It was a teacher binder full of work. We were all silent. Summer stopped talking. Look for part 2.
Can you solve this mystery? This is a story about a young girl whose brother confessed to killing their parents, but things are not as they seem. All the clues to what really happened are hidden in what I'm about to say. So one day this young girl decided to tell her friend about the terrible tragedy. Her friend asked about what happened to her brother after the confession. She said he got arrested, went to trial, and eventually was found guilty and sentenced to death by lethal injection. During the execution, her brother never said a word. He gave no explanation and just stared at her blankly as they gave him the injection. The young girl admitted after that she couldn't eat or sleep. She had so many questions, but no one left to give her answers. She tried to block out the terrible memories and suffered from depression and even amnesia. The friend suggested she go to a psychic to find some answers, so she did. She asked, "What drove my brother to lose his mind?" And the psychic said, "Your brother was always perfectly sane." The girl asked, "So then why did my brother kill our parents?" And the psychic said, "Your brother was only responsible for the death of one person." Suddenly, the girl understood everything. She broke down crying. What really happened to this family? Can you solve this mystery?
This is why you should always listen to your gut. When I was 13, my family and I were headed home from night church service. It was my mom, me, and my 2 siblings. The road we were driving on was in the country and it was late at night, so there were no lights and no one else on the road. As we were coming up on our turn, a car suddenly comes swerving from our turning spot. They were turning so fast that they came into our lane and almost crashed into us. My mom quickly swerved as they tried to get back into their lane. Unfortunately, they overcorrected and flipped their car, landing on the driver's side door in a ditch. My mom hit her brakes and jumps out the car to go help the other driver. She gets about 3 steps away from our car, but then stops dead in her tracks. My siblings and I were watching her from the back window and wondering why she wasn't going to help the person. That's when he starts yelling for help and my mom starts to move to help him, but for some reason she stops again in the center of the road. Another car flies behind us and the guy doesn't hesitate to jump out and go help. The man pries open the passenger door so the guy trapped inside can get out. As the man crawls out, he instantly gets into a frog-like crouching position on top of the car. He has this insane look on his face and launches himself off of the car, hitting the guy who helped him. Then he turns his gaze in our direction and starts sprinting towards us.
This is why you should always keep a diary. Once there was a young woman in Korea who was blind in one eye. She decided that once she saved up enough, she would get a cornea transplant. Eventually she did, so she scheduled the surgery. She was very excited for it, however, afterwards things took a terrifying turn. She stopped texting and talking to her friends and even her family with no explanation. People thought she just needed some time to recover. However, eventually her parents grew worried about her and went to her house. They knocked on her door, but there was no reply. Then they called the police, who broke down the door. Inside the house, they found the young woman lying in a pool of her own blood. Her parents were devastated. No one could understand why she did this to herself. Perhaps it was just a social isolation. However, this theory was quickly changed when the police kept investigating. All the mirrors had been smashed in the house as well as all other reflective surfaces. But it wasn't until they found the young woman's diary that they really found out what was happening. When they flipped open her diary, they found that on the last few pages she'd written over and over again, "My right eye is staring at me."
Part 2 about how this guy used me to get with my best friend. Like I said, they started dating. The boy that I was talking to at the pool, we're gonna call him Luke. Well, Luke's best friend was dating my best friend. Fast forward 2 months, Luke's saying how he wants to date me and stuff like that, but it's not the right time. And every time that I would ask Luke to hang out, he would only hang out if my best friend was there. Red motherfucking flag alert, bitch. Anyways, I didn't see that red flag. So Luke and his best friend go to this party. And apparently I was told that there was this girl there that was really hot. And Luke was saying to his best friend, "Oh, you should hook up with her. She's totally into you. Your girlfriend won't find out because she doesn't even know any of the people at this party." So he hooks up with the girl there. Then Luke calls me and says, "OMG, like he cheated on your best friend." So I immediately call my best friend to tell her. And because she likes to talk to Luke about all her problems, she calls him. So he goes over there to comfort her. I didn't hear anything from them till a week after. My best friend posted him on her story and goes, "My new boo." Storytime about my extremely toxic boyfriend. So when I was in high school, I was dating this boy for 3 months. We're gonna call him Nick. And my friends hated him because he was super mean to all of them, but he was super nice to me. Well, after dating for about a month, he started acting super weird. Like he stopped paying attention to me, he didn't want to hang out with me. And I was going through a depression this time because my dad had just died. I wasn't really doing my makeup anymore, I wouldn't do my hair anymore, and I started gaining a little bit of weight because all I would do is sleep in bed all the time, eat 24/7. Well, soon our 2 months was coming up, and he wanted to go to this party. So I literally begged him to FaceTime me, and I was asking him, "Oh, what should I wear?" So I put on this dress that was really tight-fitting, which I was already super uncomfortable about wearing because of the fact that I had a little bit of a belly now.
So I was at work one day and the rush was finally over. Me and this other girl were working up front and I had just finished cleaning the trays and the lobby was empty, so we were all just enjoying the peace and talking. I was talking to my coworker who was working in Drive when this guy walks into the store. He looks like he's in his 40s or his 50s. Now we had like 50 people coming during rush and I did not feel like taking another order, so I bent down and I'm pretending that I was doing something so my other coworker can take his order instead. And I hear him saying something, but I wasn't paying attention because I was too busy pretending to be busy, you know? So I pop back up while he's ordering and I look at my coworker who's standing next to me and her eyes are wide open, her mouth is wide open, she's just in shock. And this guy finishes ordering and he walks by us and he says, "I'm a Republican, no one likes what I have to say." And I was just like, "Oh yeah, you're a Republican, that's cool, whatever, I don't care." So then I look back at my coworker and she says, "Did you just hear what he said?" And I was like, "Yeah, he said he's a Republican." So then she says, "I'm gonna go get X." And I was confused. I was like, "Why are you gonna get our GM if all he said that was, you know, he's a Republican?"
I work as an assistant for a really big fashion company. We had a defective wedding dress and my boss asked if I knew anyone we could give it to. My best friend recently got engaged, so it was perfect. When she posted on Instagram to thank me and my boss, my family caught wind of it and that's when the influx of calls came. I do not have a good relationship with my family. My parents kicked me out when I was 16 after I came out to them, and my sister wasn't much better. They demanded to know why I gave the dress to my friend and not to my sister. I didn't even know she was engaged. They suggested I try to take it back from my friend as family should always come first. My sister even tried to call my boss to complain. I just got off the phone with my mom and this is how the conversation went. She says my sister is very upset about the dress and I told her she needs to get over it. My mom says I can make it up to them by giving her another dress. I posted one last night on my Instagram. It's a $12,000 dress and that's the one my sister wants. And I told her, you expect me to give you a $12,000 dress when you kicked me out when I was 16? My mom says, that was a long time ago and we're talking about your sister, not me. When I refused to give the dress, my mom says the least I can do is help her buy one. At this point I hang up and I've been avoiding them since then.
Welcome back to another Toxic Best Friend story time. A little background information. I was friends with this girl since elementary school, and we had a really good friendship until we got into high school. Like, we always got along, never fought over boys. Well, during our freshman year, this new boy started at our school. Well, I started talking to him. And after a month of still talking to him, my best friend goes, I don't think you should talk to him, he talks to a lot of girls. And because she was my best friend, I didn't think she would lie about that. I believed her and I stopped talking to him. Well, that weekend, I went over her house. And when I walked in her room, she goes, oh, say hi. And who else is on the phone but the boy she told me not to talk to? So after they got off the phone, I was like, let me guess, you told me to stop talking to him because you liked him. And she goes, yeah, I just knew that if I told you I liked him, you wouldn't stop talking to him. So that night, we went to a party and he was there. And things started to go south, like for part 2.